Hey, everybody, this is Will Beinbrink. I am the lead of the Exorcism of God film, and I want to welcome you to the Horror Squad podcast.
Hello, welcome back to the Horror Squad podcast, episode number 219. Tonight we're talking about 1987 Peter Jackson's Bad Taste, and it's Mr. Birthday Boy Joseph. How old are you, son?
Hello. 35.
Ooh, big boy pants.
Actually, yeah. And it actually worked out that the movie I picked, Bad Taste, was released the same year I was born.
Yeah, me
So
too.
look at that.
I'm
Yeah.
35 in May, so I'm right behind you.
Very nice. Very nice.
So you heard Joe, you heard me, Todd. We have Steve on the line. Sam is having computer issues. She'll be on in a few minutes.
We hope
Boys.
so. This time. Last time we said that too.
Yeah.
That's true. The curse of your guys' apartment with internet and
Apparently.
it's all the damn ghosts walking around.
It is.
What'd you do for your birthday, man?
Yeah, so I went and saw X, which I think we're going to be reviewing within the next couple of weeks. So I'll save my thoughts on that. But yeah. And then what else did we do? Went out to the Cheesecake Factory, which I hadn't been in a few years. It's all right. Cheesecake was great. Food was, decent. I had a discussion about the Cheesecake Factory. It hasn't changed like in the 20 years I remember it. Like the decor is exactly the same as it was 20 plus years ago. And I've never seen a Cheesecake Factory not inside of a mall. Like it's always attached to a mall. I don't know if like anyone else can tell me if they know of a Cheesecake Factory that's detached from a mall, but
To think of it, I can't think of a standalone either.
yeah, I think like that's their model or something like that. Do they have Cheesecake Factories in Canada, Steve?
No,
Is
I've
that a
never
thing?
even seen one, so I
Never-
know what it
okay.
is because Penny worked in Big Bang Theory, but that's all I know about it.
Okay. All right. So yeah. And then Saturday, we went to like a local, like small time wrestling show. It was at like an Elks club. There was like maybe like 40, 50 people there. It was great. It was a blast though. Yeah, there was like an old anyone who might follow WWE, there was a wrestler there. His WWE name, I guess, was August Gray. I had no idea who he was. I guess he was a newer guy. He was an NXT part of WWE, whatever. I don't even know what that is, honestly, because I don't keep up with wrestling, but I assume that's like the minor leagues or something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
like
for
their farm
WWE.
system.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So he was honestly the best match of the night, though. Like you could tell, like he was like leaps and bounds, like better than everyone else. And the guy he wrestled with was actually really good too. So they definitely put on the best match of the night. And then there were a couple other decent, wrestlers there. But yeah, overall, a lot of fun. So yeah, it was a good weekend.
I fucking love going to super small wrestling shows because
Yeah.
you never know what the fuck to expect because these guys will just do anything. They're usually really big wrestling fans, so they'll go
Yeah.
out of their way to please you, even though there's only like 30 people in the stands. Yeah, it's
Yep.
yeah, I love the venues they pick sometimes for stuff like that. Like one time I went, it was at a cow exhibition, like a farm exhibition, and they had all the cows like right next to them, and it smelled like
Nice.
fucking manure. But it's just they decide that's where we're gonna set up is in this fucking farm exhibition place, and it's amazing. Love it.
Yeah, they did like a big tribute to Razor Ramon too, which was cool. Who just passed away. Rest in peace to him. He was like one of my favorite wrestlers growing up. But yeah, so that was cool too. And yeah, got to hold the championship belt, which was cool. It's always a plus. Whenever even if in the small times, if you can hold a championship belt, it's a cool feeling. So
They're very blingy. Like I find that
yeah,
they reflect really well, so it's impressive looking. Anytime
it
you
is.
get a
Yeah.
championship belt. Have you ever held like a legit championship belt before?
I haven't, no, like an actual WWF belt or anything. No.
Yeah, I held the tag team title when I met the Hardy Boys.
Nice.
It's hefty. Like
Mm.
I mean, I was probably like 14 when I lifted it, and I was just surprised at how heavy it was because they carry and fucking throw that shit around in the ring, But that's cool. Well, glad you enjoyed your
Nice.
birthday.
Yeah, it was a good time, and I'm excited to discuss Bad Taste now. It was between Bad Taste and The Skin I Live In, which I gotta recommend it. If you've never seen The Skin I Live In, that is one. Go in, don't look up the plot, don't look up anything, just go and watch it and experience it. It is a wild ass movie.
What'd you watch it on?
Shutter.
Shutter?
The Skin I Live In, is it available on Shudder?
It is here.
Okay,
Yeah.
I saw it years ago. Yeah, I saw it when it first released.
put it on
I
the
think I want to say it
list.
came out like, yeah, it's a good. I want to say it's like 2013, 2014 or something like that. And Antonio Banderas, it's a good one. Mhm.
That's awesome. So why did you pick Bad Taste without obviously reviewing it? But like, what is it about that one that you're like, that's my pick this year?
Yeah, so I mean, accessibility was obviously like a big factor. It's available for free on Tubi, so I figured it was good for everybody, including our listeners, who are able to just watch it without having to pay for it or anything like that. The other big factor is Peter Jackson. Obviously, it's always fun to discuss his horror roots. A lot of people may not even know he had horror roots. Dead Alive, aka Brain Dead's like one of my like all-time favorite horror movies. And I hadn't seen Bad Taste in a very long time, and I haven't seen it since high school. So it's one I've been wanting to revisit for a long time. So once I kind of saw it pop up, I was just kind of like looking around, seeing what was there, and once I saw that, I was like, oh, that could be a really fun one to discuss. Yeah.
Awesome. You guys want to get in questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. You can ask us those questions on social media at the Horror Squad Podcast or on our Discord. Check out our Discord, guys. It's a lot of fun in there. We have all sorts of discussions right now. They're having a fierce debate over which fast food has the best French fries. It's very people are very loyal to their French fries, it seems. We're also discussing French horror and a bunch of other stuff. So check them out. And actually, speaking of the Discord, this week, actually the day this episode releases, we're going to do our movie club, so movie of the month, which is Wishmaster. So we're going to discuss that, and and then we're going to pick for next month. So if you want to join for next month, it's your chance. And we usually do on the last weekend of the month. So check it out for that. So the first question comes to us from Joseph. He says, I really enjoy Peter Jackson and his early films. They're so wacky and fun. Do y'all think that the restored Blu-rays will ever be finished and released? I know Bad Taste and Dead Alive have been in talks of getting released one of these days. I doubt we get Meet the Feebles Blu-ray ever. I could cast for the Lord.
I think they're doing the 4K right now. I believe they're working on both of those. So yes.
Nice. Yeah, I think they have to, right? Like it's Peter Jackson, like anything he does, like people want to see. So I think so for sure. I bet we'll maybe even get a Meet the Feebles one day. Who knows, So we'll see. Meet the Feebles is actually the only Peter Jackson movie now that I don't think I've ever seen. So I gotta jump back on that.
Me either.
Yeah, I've seen scenes, but I haven't seen like the thing as a whole. So I know it's kind of like a Crazy Muppets type style. So
I think I saw it somewhere on Tubi or I saw it before, so it's one I'll check out as well. Because other than some of his like really obscure stuff, like he did some documentaries and some like kind of not non-horror, non-adventure films. So those I didn't see, but yeah, Bad Taste was one of the last ones. So let's gonna try to complete his filmography as well.
Meet the Feebles on Tubi.
Tubi, yeah.
He's like he's unrecognizable almost in this movie too in Bad Taste tonight. Like I didn't even recognize him.
Oh,
like,
really? It's the opposite. I find now he looks unrecognizable. Where he looked like this when he did Lord of the Rings, and I saw so many behind the scenes features of Lord of the Rings that like I recognized him right away.
So he looked like himself as his alien counterpart, but as Derek, like shaved, clean shaven. I was like, it looked totally different. He didn't look like him to me. He just looked like a total nerd.
Yeah, he's awesome though. Like it's great.
Yeah.
I love that he went from like something like this to
it's outrageous. Yeah,
like the biggest trilogy maybe ever. So it's
right.
It's crazy. It just shows that starting horror and hopefully come back. I hope he comes back to horror one day though. And
I think I hope he does too.
Yeah, one day he'll be rich enough and he'll have done all his dream projects. He'll be like, let's make another crazy fucking so that'd be awesome.
That'd be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Next question are from Weezerface. Many of the filming locations here are really pretty because New Zealand. If you were making a movie in your hometown, where would you film? So where specifically in your hometown, I think, would you film?
Let's see, Chino, California. Used to be a lot of dairies before, everything else got bought and put houses in like everywhere else in the country now. But there's still a couple spots left. So I think I'm gonna go to a dairy farm, a bunch of cows roaming around, mooing, bunch of shit everywhere. Got that smell. You got a lot of mud, flies. I think it'd be a good little mad farmer slasher.
Nice.
Crazy farm girls. Yeah, I recognize dairy farms. So I see you dairy
Milk
farmers.
maidens.
Yeah.
Yeah, milk maidens. Yeah, the killer will just drink milk
Yeah.
and like chase people around, but he's really good at not spilling it.
Nice.
Where I grew up in Barica, I've actually talked about this before, but there's like a really popular like urban legend, like a haunted road. There's like a nun convent on it. The name of the road is escaping me right now, but
It's not called Nun Road.
no, it's not called Nun Road.
Missed opportunity.
No, Sam would probably know it if she was on here because my dad tells her about it all the time. We still haven't gone down there, but I would definitely film down there some sort of like haunted house style haunted road movie. It could be fun.
For me, I grew up in Montreal, and it would be the Saint Joseph Oratory, which is a gigantic like church on a hill. It was built by someone called Brother Andre, who's now a saint, and he used to cure people. Like that was what brought him to sainthood. People used to go see him, and he'd cure him with the power of religion. And if you go into this place, there's like all these crutches like just hung up everywhere of all the people that he cured, to kind of signify how many people he's cured over the years. And they have his body in there and like this really cool sarcophagus, and they have his heart, like you could see his heart in a box, which is just fucking crazy.
That's
and alcohol
weird.
Yeah, it's like religious relics are really an interesting subdivision of horror that I think should be explored more.
Yeah.
If you go to
What's your thought
churches,
process? Like, hey, this guy was awesome. Let's cut his heart out.
yeah,
Like, what?
well, part of becoming a saint, your body has to have some kind of like a part of your body has to be like immortal. That's why a lot of saints are like exposed in their churches, especially in Europe. You could see like full ass saints just in a glass box. It's like a big thing. I forget the term for it, but it's one of the things that you need for sainthood. It's really interesting. It's a really creepy museum in there too, because they're all like wax figures of him, and I don't know. I just think there could be a really cool horror film done in there. So I'll send pictures of what I mean in the Discord and stuff. But I think that'd be great.
I'm looking at it right now. It's disturbing.
Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, so someone stole a heart at some point too, and they found it in an attic or some shit. I don't know. It's one of those crazy things. Yeah. And our last series of questions are from Chuck. No audio questions this week because he's not feeling great. So Chuck, we hope you feel better soon. He's got allergies. Allergy season is on the cusp for me. I always get them really hard, but there's still snow on the ground, so not looking forward to that shit. It's just awful. So Chuck, I hope you feel better soon. His first question is: Independence Day considered horror?
Not even close.
I gotta say no to that one.
Action, adventure, sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's kind of in the same vein as like Jurassic Park, maybe being horror or not?
Yeah, I guess so. I would. Yeah.
I mean,
I would say
tonally though,
so.
it's all about the tone. That was Will Smith saying "Welcome to Earth," and
The aliens are pretty scary. Like
They are.
when you actually
Like,
see them.
oh, peace.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
part is
but-
scary.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. So
But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say it was horror. Just like I wouldn't really say Jurassic Park is horror either. I know a lot of people do consider it horror, but I just don't.
yeah, it's an interesting debate for
Some-
sure. I mean,
Some people say Ghostbusters Afterlife's horror.
That's fucking horror.
You
There's
got
no
ghosts
debate.
killing people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I think it's more sci-fi action adventure, like Todd said, but there's definitely horror elements there. So if you put in your horror section,
Oh, definitely, yeah.
yeah, I mean, like that World of Worlds, there's a bunch of stuff that could kind of fit in that category.
See, I would consider War of the Worlds more horror than I would Independence Day.
Yeah,
Just
think
because
it's
I feel
closer.
like it. Yeah, I would say it's closer to horror than
Yeah. Tim Robbins. Is it Tim Robbins that goes crazy as a survivalist and tries to kill Tom Cruise and steal his family?
I think so. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah, that's a disturbing scene.
Mhm.
Plus, they're using people as fertilizer. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. His second question: Does it bother you to start and not finish a movie? Or can you just turn it off if it's just awful?
I can turn them off easy. I frequently do.
Yeah, I can easily turn off a movie that sucks. I am a completionist though, so I will always come back to it at some point to finish it. But even if the movie's good, I feel like I can turn it off. Like if say I'm like getting tired or something like that, and then come back to it the next day or something like that.
But you always finish it?
Yeah, I always finish it. I don't think I've ever like I even like walked out on a movie once, and then like I like watched it once it came out on DVD to finish it, like just because
Which
like I
one?
was just curious. The Jacket with Adrian Brody. I don't know if anyone's ever seen it, but
No.
that wasn't more like that it was bad. I think I was in high school and the girl I was with was getting a little handsy, so we left for that reason.
Go on. No, I've never seen that
Yeah.
movie. I heard it's pretty good.
It actually is pretty good. I was actually interested. I didn't want to leave.
I always finish the movies that I watch. I always feel like the last 10 minutes can make or break a movie. And that's been the case in the past where I'm like, man, fucking One Cut of the Dead's a good example. After half an hour, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to turn this shit off. But I don't know, I'll watch the whole thing. And then it was on my top 10 that year. So you never know, you know. My barometer of like good and bad is if it's a really bad movie, I'll start playing with my phone more. I guess that's like what I'll do more so than turn it off. I'll like shut off my brain a little bit and start doing other stuff and kind of just peek at it. But I'll always finish it. His third question. Happy birthday, episode Joe, you magnificent handsome devil. Other than this movie, please recommend a movie for me to watch in your honor.
Oh, I already gave you one. The Skin I Live In, Antonio Banderas. As far as another one, well, you guys put me on the spot here. Session 9, I've always found to be an underrated one. So I would say if you haven't checked out that one yet, check that one out. I think Steve and Todd have both seen that one. I feel like one of you guys didn't like it.
I wasn't like,
Did you?
I didn't love it.
Okay.
It was creepy. I mean, it had some creepy ass scenes in it. The boy in it is like terrifying. Yeah, it's good to know. And his last question, Steve, Todd, and Joe, hit me with that Tubi pick, please. So a Tubi recommendation specifically from Tubi.
Ooh.
Tubi only.
Another
only.
question.
You know what? Let me pull up my stuff because I got my stuff.
I know.
I
gotta pull up.
While you guys look it up, I've mentioned this movie in the past, but it wasn't really available. But now it's on Tubi, so it's a perfect time to check it out. It's called The Mennonite of the Living Dead. It's a very indie film, and the horror isn't all that good. I'm not gonna lie, but I know the main actor, and he's fucking amazing in it. So I mean, no, I don't know him personally. I know him online, like someone I chat with once in a while. And he's fucking amazing in it. Like I really like his performance in it, and it's got some good like sex jokes and stuff like that. So if you're in for like a kind of low budget affair, I think Mennonite Living Dead is a pretty good watch. So that's on Tubi now.
Does it have to be horror?
Not necessarily, preferably, but not necessarily.
Yeah.
Space Truckers.
Oh yeah,
that Steve really liked from
Stuart Gordon.
Stuart Gordon, there you go. It's sci-fi, but it's so fucking insane. You know what? I'm not gonna say anything about it. It's just space truckers with a really like low budget sci-fi. You know what? Space Truckers and Tubi. That's my recommendation. Less you know, the better. Just watch it and you'll be like, as soon as you see square pigs, you'll be like, oh shit, this is that movie.
And just if you're gonna go down to the Stuart Gordon Tubi hole, Robot Jocks is another great like kind of sci-fi Stuart Gordon film, and it's amazing. So check it out.
I'll throw out The Taking of Deborah Logan if you've never seen that one before. Fantastic little movie, which we actually interviewed the director of, I think, or maybe not.
Did we?
It might have been before.
I don't remember.
We
that.
did
It might have been.
We did
All right, on our previous podcast that we interviewed him. My other suggestion I'll give you is Horror in the High Desert. Came out last year. Really low budget, found footage horror movie. It's worth it just for like the last like 20 minutes alone because it's super creepy. Watch that one in the dark at night. That's the best way to watch that one.
I keep seeing that film. Like, so it has a very famous scene in it where the woman is like eating a child. And it's
Taking Deborah Logan,
yeah,
yeah.
taking Deborah Logan.
I think everyone's seen that scene.
Yeah, I keep
Yeah.
seeing
But not
it
the
pop
movie.
up on like top 10 like ghost videos on YouTube. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's from it's not even real. It's creepy, but it's obviously a movie. But anyway,
Mhm.
and one last recommendation here: Deadly Grounds coffee.
Everyone thinks because you're a zombie, you don't know good coffee. Well, they're wrong. There's only one brew that gets my seal of approval. Deadly Grounds coffee is my guilty pleasure. The aroma is so intoxicating. It brings all of my neighbors out of the woodwork. Deadly Grounds coffee. Coffee to die for and zombie approved. It's good to get a little deadly. Use the front door! Oh, they're so disgusting.
So what watched?
Yeah, I got nothing, so you guys can go or add an extra movie if you got anything.
Well, I watched my Super Bowl punishment, and it was Monster, and it is exactly how it sounds. It's about a monster turd. And yeah, this one's fucking wild, man. It was made in 2003. They couldn't have spent more than maybe $50,000 on this. I might be giving it way too much money, but the plot's so fucking stupid. Like, this girl, she's afraid, right? And her dad comes to tuck her in, and he's like, "Dad, do you get scared?" "No, I don't. You're here to protect me." He's like, "Okay, I'll tell you a scary story." And her scary story is the monster, and it has like escaped convicts, it has police shootings, it has what else does it have? Acid baths, hitmen killing people, oral sex, innuendo talk. Yeah, the kid's crazy, and it's got like unintentionally hilarious moments. Like, this doctor is trying to be very dramatic, and his colleague's getting killed, and he does the stupidest face of all time. So that's funny. Stupid stuff like the convict is running through from the cops, and instead of going around like a clear path, he goes through a bush. So it's exactly what it is, and I actually enjoyed it for what it was. I think I would have loved it if I was in a group setting, but just watching it by myself, I was like, oh, this is fucking stupid. But what I like about it too is, one, you can tell they're having a great time making this. It's a fucking turd movie. And two, like, it knows what it is. It doesn't try to like be dramatic or be serious. It's called Monster, and they just have a lot of fun with it. So would I recommend it? No, not if you're hanging out by yourself. There's better movies to watch. But if you have a group of dudes or girls hanging out, eating some hot dogs and pizza, watch some Monster.
I don't know if I'd want to be eating while
Hey,
watching
you can eat. I got a thick stomach.
I also watched it just because I was curious, and I agree with everything Todd said. It's stupid, but there's, you could tell that they're fans and they just want to have fun with it. The monstered creature is fucking hilarious, and design and everything. One thing that really impressed me, I don't know why this impressed me so much, but so they wanted, there's like
Donnie
one
the
joke.
Doper.
The what?
Donnie the Doper.
Nope.
My favorite.
So there's one joke that it's a really small joke, but they wanted it so bad. So they made a joke about Mr. Hanky the Christmas Pooh from South Park, and they wanted that joke in so bad that they actually like made a cartoon to look like South Park and the Mr. Hanky episode just to sell that one joke. I was impressed. Like, wow, you went to the trouble of actually reanimating South Park to avoid copyright just to have that one fucking Mr. Hanky joke. It's crazy. Like, the movie is just so fun, and it's a good time. Like Todd said, I think it'd be better in a group setting, but I still enjoyed it for what it was. It's one of the better of these like super absurd, gross out movies that I've seen. Yeah, I'd recommend it if you like that kind of stuff. My first one this week is from 2021. So I'm trying to finish off my like 2021 list of the ones that I missed out at the year end that people mentioned. I wrote like a little list on our top 10 episode. So I'm just trying to watch some of them. And this one is Antlers. So in this one, a little boy, he lives in a house where his brother and father are like absolutely crazy, and they live like in the attic of the house. And it follows a teacher who's trying to kind of figure out what's going on with this boy. And as the mystery deepens, cops are involved and all that stuff. It's in a small town, so everyone's curious as to what's going on. and a whole bunch of shit ensues. The kid's fantastic in this. I thought he was a really great actor, and child actors, they can make or break a film. I mean, they made something like this, but fucking destroyed Psycho Goreman, which I'll never get over. I thought the cinematography was fantastic here. There's a good amount of gore. I was really interested in knowing where the story was going. Like I didn't really quite know where this was all heading to, and that was really interesting to me. I really love the creature design. He kind of, I said this on the Discord, and I stand by it. He kind of reminds me of what a nude Krampus would look like the way his body is, the horns, and the face that he wears. I thought was very reminiscent of Krampus. And I do think that the pacing was kind of slow at times, like it was uneven. But overall, I liked the film. Would not have been a top 10, but I still think it was a strong showing for 2021. So that's Antlers.
All right, my next one is a 2022 release over on Shudder. I got an email from Shudder saying, hey, check out these new movies. One of which is The Bunker Game. And I tried with this one. I really did. I really like the premise, which is they're LARPing, is when people do like medieval style, and they're doing like role playing basically, and they're sword fighting and stuff like that. So this is like a extreme LARPing adventure where Germany wins World War II, and then America nukes Germany, and Germany nukes America, and they're in a post-apocalyptic landscape, and you are underground in a bunker, and you are role-playing as Nazis. And your mission is to keep the bloodline pure and eventually repopulate the earth, so it's already a funky premise, right? But the idea of being underground and like not knowing if it's LARPing, are they being serious, is someone really killing them off or whatever. However, I just lost interest so quickly because I never got to the point. Like there's subplots of like romantic relationships, and one girl's pregnant and she's gonna have an abortion, and the dude's like, no, you can't. And then you got like a dude that's like a super Nazi that's like LARPing, but he's not because he's really Nazi. So I'm like, interesting premise, but it couldn't grab me. And this is one of the movies from our previous questions. Can you turn off a movie? Yes, I can. Turned off The Bunker Game because it was boring.
I'm glad you watched it because I was going to, and now I'm probably not. So
yeah, it's shitty.
Yeah, it's too bad. The premise looked really cool, but that's what happens sometimes.
Real quick, it's a 1.8 on Letterboxd right now.
Yeah, no,
Oof, that's low.
That's bad. My next one is a 2022 film that I watched, I believe, over on Shudder, and it's Hellbender. So in this one, a mom and her daughter are living in a secluded like house in the woods, and they're just kind of hanging out. And their history is that they're descendant of witches. So once it happens like years later, the daughter's like older, and they have like a band together where they play music, just the two of them. The daughter's on drums and singing, the mom is on guitar. And eventually the daughter, she's like keeps going out of the house, and she is told that she's allergic to people, so she can't meet anyone and talk to anyone. But she eventually like meets a hitchhiker, and then the hitchhiker goes missing, and then she meets a girl that she befriends. And while she's doing that, she meets another group of people, and then she eats a worm. And she's been vegetarian or maybe even vegan up to this point. And the worm makes her go crazy, because if witches eat like a human, or not a human, but like something that's alive, then they kind of get that power from them. Like the soul reacts, and they just go absolutely nuts. And then the rest of the movie is her discovering like eating different things and how she reacts to it and stuff like that, of course leading up to eventually humans. I thought the film was super well acted, super well shot. The music was actually decent, especially when they're playing as the band. And I thought the film started really well, and I was super interested to see where it was going to lead to. But unfortunately, I feel that the last act just didn't work for me. It got really weird, and it left too many unanswered questions. Like they ask all these really interesting questions about how witches work and why they do certain things, but they never answer them. So why ask them in the first place if you're not going to kind of pay off those moments? And that kind of soured the movie a little bit for me. So I enjoyed it a little bit, but overall I was disappointed, and it won't be anywhere near my top 10 by the end of the year. So that's Hellbender over on Shudder.
All right. Well, Sorry, folks, but Sam is not coming because of her computer. So, but we left off on trivia as a 3-way tie for 17 points, and this would be the last ep, right? For
we can do one more since April 1st is like the next episode, so
okay.
we can finish it off next time.
Okay. Well, to be continued.
Let me see. All right. Bad Taste, 1987, Peter Jackson. This one will be an interesting one to try to explain because, as you may or may not know, Peter Jackson didn't even write a script for this movie. He just made the movie as it went along. It took 4 years to make this movie, interestingly enough, and he did it on his free time on the weekends. No script whatsoever. He literally would just write something up during the week, and then on the weekends they would just film this for fun. But yeah, the basic plot synopsis basically is that a group of aliens have come down on this town somewhere in New Zealand, and yeah, they are attacking this small town, and the group of survivors of just, I guess, people who all sort of know each other in this town kind of band together to fight off these aliens who we come to find out came down essentially because they own a fast food restaurant in their planet, and they want to basically harvest us humans for their fast food because we taste good. Yeah, and that's essentially the plot here. This was basically a fresh watch for me. Like I said, I hadn't watched it since high school. I barely remembered anything about it. The only thing I really remembered was the aliens that are featured prominently on the cover, the iconic cover of this movie. And I remembered a little bit of the gore scenes, but that was about it. Surprising to me is we don't even see the aliens until I actually wrote it down. An hour and 10 minutes into the movie is when you actually see the aliens take form. So I found that to be really interesting. Like the whole movie, I'm like, oh wow, like when do the aliens come in? They're the human version of the aliens, but I mean, really, the whole movie is just like the human version of the aliens. Overall, I really did enjoy this movie. It's like really stupid, really cheesy, it's like very Trauma-esque, but I had so much fun watching this again this time around. I mean, it's definitely one of the weaker of Jackson's horror affairs. I feel like Dead Alive is leaps and bounds better than this movie. But you can tell this was kind of Peter Jackson's learning curve. He's kind of learning. You see the stuff that worked in this movie that he took over to his next movie, and the stuff that didn't work he left behind. It's really interesting to watch. It's just amazing to see where he's gone with his career after watching a movie like this. It's it's absolutely unbelievable how he was able to take over one of the most iconic trilogies of all time in the Lord of the Rings after doing movies like this and Dead Alive. What did he even do before Lord of the Rings? Was there, Heavenly Creatures, I guess? The Frighteners, yeah.
That's still low budget horror,
I still don't know why he was chosen to do Lord of the
Steve
Rings.
Probably knows.
It's interesting.
It's really a case of he knew Lord of the Rings mythos and lore so much that he convinced the studio to let him do it. That's why.
The power of the nerd, I guess, worked off for him. But yeah, it's great. It's fun to see him Peter Jackson. He does a dual role in this movie. He plays Derek, and then he plays the main alien as well. And he's great. He's funny as hell in this. In both roles, honestly. The gore, the practical effects are just top notch. That is what makes this movie stand out, because from a story perspective, it's lacking for sure. It's very, very basic. It's about as basic can get on that end of it. But what it's lacking in that is definitely made up for it in the practical effects and whatnot. So, it's definitely not going to be a movie for everyone. You really have to know what you're getting yourself into. But yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's the first time, long time too, 15, 20 years at least. Well, not at least, that's probably the time frame. But yeah, it's actually amazing to know that him and his buddies did this over 4 years, weekends here and there. Because when I was watching the movie, then I went back to the IMDb and looked up all the actors and you know, makeup guy and blah blah blah, and most of them are just this movie. So it's always cool to go back, especially from something from the 80s and 90s, to look at what everyone's doing. The only one pretty much successful is, at least in film, because those guys probably went on to do other things, was Peter Jackson, obviously. But I love it, man. I love it. It's like you hit it on the head there, where this is showing what does work for Peter, and then what doesn't work doesn't show up again, or at least not as bad in Dead Alive and then subsequent films. But the ending is so batshit nuts. Like when the fucking whole house is just a spaceship, and homeboy sneaks in and he flies through him and with the chainsaw, and he gets on the phone. He's like, "I'm coming for you, mates," or whatever he says. But yeah, the effects are amazing, especially the brain keeps falling out of the dude's head and he's pushing it back in. It's gross out funny. It's toilet humor. But once again, I keep coming back to this. I guess I'm in a nostalgic trip or whatever, because whenever I see a film that is obviously not that great, but they had fun making it, it bleeds through to what we're seeing. And come on, clearly this was a freaking blast. You know what I mean? I would love to have been on the set. You got the aliens with the nut chins looking things. It's just a fun movie, and another good one to be in a group. I would bet this would be a better film in a group. But yeah, no plot whatsoever. I mean, bits and pieces here and there, but you can tell this took 4 years to build over a couple days shooting each time, because they probably didn't know what the fuck they did last time they shot, and they just threw scenes together. So overall, I like it a lot. Is it great? No, but it's a good fun time.
Yeah, I kind of echo what both of you said. When we do our main review, I tend to focus more, on the movie, trying to understand everything. And an hour into it, I look at my wife, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on at all. I don't understand the story at all. And I thought I was just being a complete idiot, but no, it was all over the place story wise. But it really didn't matter with a film like this. It's there's so many great fucking kills and gory moments in this movie. I noted a few of them, which we'll talk about later, but it was just so much fun to see how unique, what kind of unique kill they do next. And I couldn't wait to see what crazy fucking gore he was going to do. What didn't work for me though is the humor. It's like slapstick humor kind of, and it's not my style of comedy. I really don't like slapstick humor stuff. The guy comes in with a chainsaw and the wall comes down in his figure with the chainsaw. The part where he's just he has a machine gun and he just does the sounds of a machine gun. He's not actually shooting anything.
Come on, that was funny.
Yeah, I don't know. It just didn't work for me. Yeah, stuff like that. It's just so random. Why in his car does he have the Beatles in the front seat and he has to do an edition of his car?
That was great.
And knowing how low of a budget film this is, did someone just have this? Did they build this for the film? Did they just have it this way? It's a lot of questions.
That was Peter Jackson's actual car, in the movie. I don't know if he had the Beatles in the car already or whatever, but the car itself was Peter Jackson's actual car he drove.
It's very interesting with that little hatch on top there.
Right.
But it was a good time anyway. I still loved seeing all the kills and all the unique stuff that they did in the film and the creature design. I really liked the creature design. So I had not seen this film before. But I knew what the poster looked like, and I've seen so many movies at this point where the poster is fucking super misleading, and I thought an hour in that was the case here, where they had a cool design on the poster, but the aliens were never going to look like that. So I was actually pleasantly surprised when they did, but it did take too long, I think, to bring them in that way, because it was confusing. Other than wearing the blue shirts and stuff, it was tough to really know who's who in this, and there's so many, it's crazy, the amount, where do these people come from, because you never see a big group really other than inside the house at that one time, but there's an infinite number of these guys that just coming out of the woodworks. So it was interesting, but yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
What kind of notes? Oh god.
No, I was gonna say, just some of the more memorable scenes for me, when the Peter Jackson's alien character pukes the sludge into the bowl and they all start eating it. I fucking love that scene so much. It's so nasty. And then when the guy keeps trying to hide and he keeps like going over him, and then he finally drinks it and he's like, oh, it's actually pretty good. And like, oh, I love that scene.
So gross though. Okay, that's one thing in
nasty.
horror that I have a hard time with is when people eat gross shit. It's just, oh my god, I just can't do it. Like
Kuso.
Yeah, Kuso, the whole fucking entirety of Kuso. The platform had some stuff that I had a hard time to, I thought the movie was terrific. The eating part was tough to watch.
Yeah, but the ingenuity that they made, like knowing that these dudes made all these sets and all this stuff is just, it's so cool. So cool.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if he has any of the props left. He probably doesn't. But,
right.
Yeah,
he seems to me like a someone who like loves film and lore, so I could see him still owning some stuff.
We should do Dead Alive one day. That'd be fun.
We should, yeah.
I agree.
Fun fact: he made all the masks for this movie, the alien masks, in his mother's kitchen, and the heads of the heads of the aliens are bent backwards because otherwise they wouldn't fit in the oven where the latex was hardened. So that's the reason for the design of the aliens.
They look great.
Yeah, they do. They really do look great. Yeah.
I don't know at what point he's like, you know what these aliens need? Chapless fucking jeans.
Yeah.
I thought that was so fucking funny and random, but hey, it adds to the charm of the movie, Some of the stuff I really liked, as far as like kills and gore and stuff like that. My favorite kill is probably when the guy he gets sledgehammered in the head, and then he loses his arm, and then the guy has the sledgehammer and the arm still sticking out, coming out. I thought that was super fun. The one where he just kicks the head out the window super randomly, it cuts off the spine and then kicks out the window.
That's
that
awesome.
Okay, so there's one slapstick humor that really got me. It's when he shoots the missile launcher and he misses, goes through the window, and it hits
the lamb.
That
was great.
That one got a good laugh out of me. What were some of your favorite kills?
I mean, the last kill Todd mentioned, obviously, that's far and away probably the best kill in the movie. But the first kill, the opening kill, is great too. Just like when he shoots the alien's head off, and he's still coming with the half of the head, and then he falls and the brains and shit pop out. That one's a really good one too. And just the gag of just Peter Jackson's skull just keeps opening throughout the movie, and he keeps just putting random brains.
I think that's the grossest scene overall because it happens so often, and it's the sound they make, the little squishes, and his stupid goofy face he does.
Yeah,
that's probably the best effect. But yeah, that final kill of the alien when he just shreds them, that's my favorite.
Nasty. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really amazing how much they did gore wise, and some of those effects are good. They're when he has the half head and stuff like that, that's really good for such a low budget affair. And that's something that really marked me, I think, the most out of this film is just how good the practical effects were.
Yeah, I wonder if he did the FX for Dead Alive too. I imagine he didn't because it's bigger budget, but maybe he did.
I think he probably did. He actually, another fun fact, he actually funded this entire movie himself. But the majority of it, and then the New Zealand Film Commission did come in and gave them a little bit of more money because they were impressed with what he had done prior, which I guess was Meet the Feebles, but which is kind of surprising that they were impressed with them. But yeah, but the majority of this movie was completely self-funded.
That's awesome. That's really crazy. And 4 years, usually something that is filmed over 4 years, you'll see it because people change in the span of 4 years. But I read it afterwards on the IMDb, but I did not notice at all during the movie that this had such a long span. I did realize that people had dubbed over their voices and stuff, and I read that actually the head alien guy, the old guy, died before the dubbing, so it was someone else's voice completely that did it. But yeah, it's very amazing that this was done over 4 years and didn't really show at all.
Yeah. The favorite thing I read was that one of the main actors wasn't allowed to shave for 4 years because of continuity. So we had to just keep like looking exactly. They said he shaved like once a week, and that's all he could do. So he had to like have the same exact beard look for 4 years. And then one of the other actors actually got married during that time, and his wife was like a devout Christian. So she made him quit the project, but then he got divorced over the 4 years. So they wrote him back into the movie, and he was able to go
Damn.
back in after he got divorced.
That's crazy.
Yeah. It's like the more you learn about this movie too, I think the more fun like it makes it too. Like just learning like just the labor of love that it was over those 4 years.
Yeah, this would be a really good documentary too if they can pull it
It
together.
really, yeah, absolutely, it would. Yeah, it's like I don't know what happened to any of these guys now. Like, where are they now? You know, but I would love to know like where some of these main actors are now. I mean, I'm assuming most of them were probably just Peter Jackson's friends. You know.
Yeah, that's what it seems to be. Like, because you look at IMDb and it's all unknowns.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, rate it.
Sure.
Birthday boy, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's not a movie I definitely could not recommend this to everybody. You know, you really do have to know what you're getting into here. Like I said, if you're a fan of Trauma-esque style movies, absolutely, this is like a must watch. If you're a fan of Peter Jackson horror, this is definitely a must watch as well. To add it to your, Peter Jackson library. So yeah, I mean, I definitely rate this one a little different based on a different scale than our normal scale, just because it's a different style movie. With that being said, there's definitely a lot of problems with this movie, but I can look past a lot of them because of how fun it is. And I had a blast watching this. I do think there are parts that drag for sure a little bit here and there. And I think with a better script or storyline, it probably would have held my attention the entire time. But the gore scenes are not few and far between. There's always a good gore scene like within 15, 20 minutes of each other. So yeah, I'm gonna give this one. I'm teetering, but I think I'm comfortable at a 7 on this one.
All right. Based off memory, I had it at a 4 out of 5. When I rewatched it, if I'm being honest, it would definitely drop down. It's probably closer to a 3 out of 5 than anything. But I'm sticking with my 4, which I'm gonna agree with Joe. Around a 7 is a good for this, and it's based solely on the amount they accomplished with the money they had, with the time constraints, with the obviously not professional actors or filmmakers yet, especially supporting cast and things like that. What they're able to pull off with like the gore effects, the miniature house shooting up in the sky, the chainsaw gag, all the stuff combined, I'm leaving it at a solid 4 out of 5 or 7 out of 10. And I think I'd recommend it to people like Joseph with Trauma, definitely. And if you like seeing where big time directors came from, this is like a crazy movie if you didn't know that Peter Jackson wasn't just always Lord of the Rings and he did this fucking weird ass project, it'd blow your mind. So if you haven't seen it, check it out.
Yeah, I think this is the kind of thing that they should show it in film school, just to show students like you're not gonna go out there and make fucking Lord of the Rings. You have to start somewhere, and you start with projects like this, which they're goofy, but it shows you learn shot compositions, and you learn continuity, and you learn how to do certain things and work with actors and work with locations and stuff like that. And then you work your way up to something like Lord of the Rings. So I think it would be important to show movies like this to students, to show that it's possible. Like, you have to start somewhere and you can get there. I really enjoyed it. The story is stupid, and at times I was a little like, okay, this is dragging on a little long, but overall I still really enjoyed it. I give it a 6.5. And as far as recommending it, I'd recommend it to like a horror fan and people who like low budget movies, but not necessarily to someone who isn't a horror fan. So 6.5.
Hello.
Ew, did you put his earwax in your own ear? Ugh.
Unfortunately.
Special
Yes.
guest star.
Crusty stuff in it.
Give us your review on Bad Taste real quick.
Okay, so I was watching it while I was doing other stuff, so I wish I would have paid attention more. I wish Joe would have told me a little behind the scenes about everything, because that made me cherish it even more so. It was fun. I feel like I was watching a movie by Todd. I loved it. And that's as a
Nice.
compliment.
No, I
Yeah,
totally
I
get
was
you.
like, I feel like that, like Todd could do this, like, you know?
I appreciate that.
Yeah. I thought it was fun. I loved the practical effects. I really loved when Peter Jackson was going through The Last Alien. I loved that. The gore was cool. The aliens were scary. I liked it. I don't really have anything bad to say about it.
Rate it.
I'm gonna rate it a 7.5.
Cool. You're the highest. I was a 7. Joe was a 7. Steve was a 6.5.
6.5, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, it's it was slow at times, and the story made no sense.
Yeah.
And, there's I mean, it's I can't like put it alongside some of the other ones, higher. So
Okay,
I mean, I
but
still
how's
enjoyed
the guy gonna survive in space though?
He's
it.
going to live off their fast food burgers that he's going to rate, probably. Human meat.
But what about like the breathing in the space air and all that stuff?
It's not that
like
type of movie,
gravity?
Sam. He's in a flying house, so.
Fine. But yeah, I liked it.
All right, close this out.
All right, guys, be sure to follow us on social media, check out our Discord, rate, review, subscribe, do all the fun things. And thanks for listening. And we'll catch you next week.
Bye.
Bye.